Welcome back to the LEC studio. exceL Esports keep improving. They won a game last week, but they have a mountain to climb against the MSI champions G2 Esports. What can they do today, and what will G2 look like on the Rift? We're still playing patch 9.13, so none of the stuff on live. What do exceL do against G2?
All right, so I had a chat with Grabbz last night.
Okay.
And I was like, Grabbz, watching your VODs, not that helpful because your players keep killing stuff. And he was like, listen, there is stuff to learn. There's something I want you to do a favor for me. And I was like, what is it, Grabbz? He's like, I want you to help the viewers understand how G2 uses their pressure in order to kill everyone. And I was like, that's interesting, Grabbz. I can try and do that. So in today's game, what we're going to be seeing is if G2 go on a killing spree like they have been over the majority of the LEC outside of that Fnatic game, we're going to be seeing how well they utilize their pressure, and honestly, if exceL can handle it, because the pressure that comes out from G2 is unlike any other team in our league.
And what'll be very important for me to understand, Vedius, is highlighting the points in the decision-making that gives you pressure, that creates those opportunities, whether it's minion waves, whether it's vision, whether it's levels, experience, anything along those lines.
Whether it's because Caps kills you at level 3.
There we go. Yeah. Help me understand. Something that I'm noticing a little bit of a trend today, Mordekaiser finding himself on the ban list several times. Obviously, these teams have an extra week to scrim on this patch. Xayah has been banned away, along with Sangria. On the other side, if you don't get that joke, go watch the beginning of Ready Check. The LEC update was fantastic. Tom Kinch is banned, and there's one left to go.
So I think exceL could look to ban away the Sylas. It's something that Jankos had a huge amount of success with last week. A very pivotal champion. Rakan is another one you could look to take off the board. Lux is another strong pick. They don't have to ban out the Yuumi, because as a reminder, Yuumi is disabled this weekend here in the LEC. But it will be the Yasuo, interestingly enough. Now, Akali is up, Lux is up, Sejuani is up. All very strong picks for G2.
Why would you then ban the Yasuo in this scenario? Is it to deny some other combo?
Because they're really scared of gaps and Perkz. I don't know. I think it could be that they're afraid of something like a Sejuani, Yasuo. It could be that they just really do respect G2's flexibility with the champion. But regardless, G2, they're going to prioritize Karma. Someone on that team is playing a support. Who yet? We don't know. But I'm going to guess it's Wunder.
I would love it if it was Jankos, but we will find out as the game plays out, of course. G2 Esports come into the game with 7 wins and 1 loss. This is their last game of the first round robin. The only team to have upset them was Fnatic. And a lot of time being taken here on the exceL side for their opening draft. And it's the Jeskla Mystiques duo over the Hyun and Kasing. And they're going to lock in the lovers duo of Xayah Rakan.
Yeah, so when we get into game, we'll talk a little bit about the era before Jeskla and Mystique and the era after. And you'll notice that there's been a pretty dramatic difference between the two bot lanes. So exceL want to try and guarantee a strong 2 versus 2. This sets up for an easy Lux answer from the side of Mikyx, because he knows how good of a matchup it is into the Rakan.
So you like the Lux into Rakan, light winding, cutting off that grand entrance.
Yep, I think it's a really good matchup in the 2 versus 2. I think Mikyx is very familiar with it as well. G2 have a lot of options. They could look to lock in an AD carry right now. They could go for something like a Sivir. They could go for something a little bit more aggressive if they wanted to as well. But instead, they're going to lock in a jungler for Jankos. No Sylas for him this week.
Okay, so this Karma could go mid, could go top. Technically, the Jarvan could go top, could go jungle.
The Lux could go mid, the Karma could go support. Yes.
I saw your cousin Flexius very deflated.
Yes.
So I just want to know, would this be Flex picks, or are you pretty confident already where G2
I'm very confident. Okay. I think that this is a Jarvan jungle, Lux support, Karma top. That is my current expectation. But G2 have obliterated my expectations before, so we shall see. Sylas can be the final lock-in for the side of exceL. This should be a jungle Sylas based on priority. We did see it in the mid lane earlier in the day from Leader, but given the recent changes to him, I feel like that he is just stronger in the jungle right now rather than in lane. And I feel like Caedral is the type of jungler that'll be happy to play him as well. So we'll see how that one works out as we move into the second half of the draft.
One of my favorite moments from last week was the winner's interview with Caedral after their game, where he spoke quite candidly and quite frankly about the team's chances and the team's performance over the course of the split. And I want to see what they can do up against the monsters of G2 Esports. Perkz on screen, very, very calm and collected as Caitlyn is banned away by exceL. Aatrox banned by G2. And we're going to start moving into this next phase. So if Caedral gets his hand on Sylas, exceL need to lock in one of their solo laners. Whether that'll be up in the top to face this potential Karma or mid, we'll find out. Draven and Caitlyn with the last 2 bans. What would you like to see to round out the sort of comp? Some tanks or engage or something for exceL?
Well, for exceL, I think that they have enough damage right now. They do have engage with the Rakan. I think they're looking for a safe blind that could potentially go into the Karma. I think Neeko would work very nicely because then the Neeko could answer the Karma in both the top lane and the mid lane. And I think it's relatively safe and works fairly well. They could go for something like a Gnar if they wanted to. Jayce we haven't really seen a lot of in recent weeks, especially in Europe, but I think this one makes a lot more sense from the side of exceL.
All right, so Jayce was played once by except. It was a loss. This is the first time that Neeko has been played by except, or in this case, Mikyx. And of course, now it's going to be up to G2 to round out their team composition.
So they need damage. Akali could be an option. But I don't think they want to blind pick it. Sivir, we already talked a little bit about that earlier. Yeah. I think it's very safe, works very well. Oh, all right. I guessed the Akali. I wasn't quite expecting it, but you know when it's Caps Akali, why would you not?
Yeah, definitely the case. And in this scenario, anticipating it, that is technically blind if you assume Neeko's going top and Sylas in the jungle.
Yeah, I think they're assuming that the Neeko is going top. So now the question is, do they put the Sylas mid for Mikyx and they use it as an answer to the Akali, or do we see something else? Right now they are hovering over the Jayce. I think Jayce has been a popular answer over in the LPL for the longest time. It was something that Rookie actually liked to play a lot of. And I think it can do very well into the matchup. You can itemize early magic resistance. You can also hit her while she's in her shroud with things like the Q from his range mode. And if he's able to land the Q initially, you've also got the static field that does a lot of damage as well. And you can even potentially knock her out of the shadow as well.
So you definitely prefer the Jayce in that matchup over the Neeko because that's where Mikyx and except are currently sitting.
I think I would prefer it.
Well, look, let's let them figure it out. Let's step back and look at the comps holistically now. What are you anticipating from both sides of the rift?
So when it comes to comps, I always like to look at where they have pressure, where on the map, and I feel like G2 have been able to draft a strong pushing lane towards the bot side of the map. Top should be relatively even, given that it's going up against the Jayce, and I think that Caps could struggle early on against the Neeko, which means that I wouldn't be surprised to see Jankos actually play towards the bot side.
And we'll have to see whether or not he can help out if you've got that G2 bot push.
Excuse me. Meanwhile, for exceL, I would like to see them play around this Jayce. I want to see them try and get except ahead. I think he's been one of the big carries for the team, but in recent weeks, their primary goal has been to try and play around Jeskla and Mystiques. So even though they have a Jayce up towards the top side, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of brawling down towards the bot side of the map.
Well, we know that Perkz as well as Mikyx love to brawl the bottom side of the map. It's the last game of the first round robin for both of these squads. And let's see what exceL can do. They have been growing, they have been improving since Jeskla and Mystiques have been a starting duo in that bottom lane. I was building up anticipation for our lovely intro video, and unfortunately we do have a very brief pause just before we jump into game. And just a reminder to all the viewers and anybody that is watching us, in the event that G2 Esports play as they are expected to play and get ahead and start to pick up kills, Vedius will be playing a mini-game where he will try to point out different ways in which G2 will be able to utilize pressure points and decision-making to unlock kills. Did I describe that correctly?
Yeah. So one of the things Grabbz talked to me about was he was like, hey, I noticed that sometimes you guys say that we pick fights because we think that we can just outplay them, and that's why we go for those fights. And whilst sometimes that is true, often it's more to do with the fact that we actually know that the fight is a very safe one to take, and we would always rather take a fight than move somewhere else or play for a different objective. So one of the things I wanted to track was how they utilize this pressure, and when they go for a fight, are they doing it because they know that it's a very safe play and they're able to do it, or are they doing it because they just think that they're better than the enemy team and that they can just go for these kind of aggressive moves? And just to kind of showcase that G2 actually thinks a lot about a lot of the plays that they make, and they don't just blindly defeat you because they have the five of the best players in our league.
Got it. Very interesting. All right, I'm just getting an update from the producers that Mikyx and exceL have paused. Mikyx is reporting a problem with the incorrect runes loading up. So our league officials are busy investigating and looking back through the footage. Once they have done so, I will give you an update. And of course, Mikyx is playing the Neeko. He's currently sitting on Glacial Augment as it stands.
That's really standard, by the way. It makes me wonder if you tried to go for press the attack and go for the AD Neeko build.
So we'll have to find out once league officials have investigated the footage. We'll be able to find out, and the ruling will stand.
And that would also make more sense into an Akali, in my opinion, because it allows you to be way more aggressive early, and you can really punish the very weak early laning phase from the side of the Akali. So it wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but we'll see if it's actually allowed, because you can't just change runes once you're in a game.
Now I want to turn my attention a little bit more to the exceL storyline. And exceL, at least over the last 3 weeks, they've had some pretty competitive early games against some of our stronger teams and have faltered at different points. But it is good to see that they are getting more competitive, and I want to see that trend continue, especially as we head towards the second round robin.
My observations were that the way in which exceL actually do it is they brute force as 5, right? And it might seem really weird, but what they'll do in the early game is a fight that should be like a 3v3 or a 4v4. There are 5 exceL players there, which means that they're going to win because they have more people. Basic math, right? And it's quite fascinating, actually, because it was how they were able to build so many advantages against SK. SK would set up for an objective, 5 members of exceL were there. Or they tried to push mid, 5 members of exceL were there. And it's fascinating because it's a high-risk, high-reward game.
Decision-making and gameplay style.
Because if you don't get kills and you're committing 5 members, then you're losing a lot of resources.
You're losing CS, you're losing pressure in lane, you're losing tempo, everything.
But one of the things as well is that while it can get you early leads too, if you're just constantly grouping and looking for fights, better teams know how to exploit that because they know how to play the map better. And one of the reasons why they were able to get an advantage against SK last week was that SK couldn't punish them for it, so they kept taking these fights and they ended up kept losing. So it's one of those things where while it's fine getting these early advantages, transitioning these advantages in the mid-game to bigger advantages, I think is still a thing that exceL is still learning to develop and overcome.
And it's one of those things that you do see and anticipate on youthful teams. You know, it takes time, it takes experience, and what a way to try and learn that up against G2 Esports. So I'm still waiting for another update, guys, but what I can tell you is I can see the players are disconnecting from the lobby. So do you have an update? Yeah, so
right now we're just looking to remake the game. Looks like that there were some issues with the runes, and we're all just leaving the game right now so that the game can actually shut down and then all the players can reconnect. So that means you're going to be listening to us for a little bit longer, talk about jibber jab and nonsense and G2 and exceL and all the great stuff. Yeah, very exciting. We've had a very exciting first half of the split. If you ask me, a lot of young rookies have been steadily improving, but none yet quite able to challenge the might of G2 Esports.
So it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on the Shoutcaster desk.
Yes.
One of the things that's surprising me today is just how much I've been speaking to the production team instead of you. But I do have another update for you guys. I just want to verify that there was an incorrect rune page loaded up. The bug was verified. So we will be remaking the lobby with the same picks and bans. And of course, Mikyx will be able to select the correct rune choice. So this will take just a little moment or two. And I believe that my production team are working on the draft graphic for us. So we can just remind everybody of what that looks like.
I can tell you.
Well, I know you can tell me, but wait, because like people don't need to hear a whole bunch of names. It's just, it's overwhelming and it's not valuable to anybody.
All right, so in the meantime, how's your dog doing?
My dog's fantastic. She's going to be babysat this weekend because I'm going to a festival.
How old is she now?
She's 5.5 months.
Oh, wow. She's getting really big, guys.
Hashtag sellout on Instagram, After the Cloud. She's very, very cute.
She's so fluffy.
Absolutely lovely. She appeared on AFK earlier today as well. So if you go check out the LEC Esports Facebook page. Actually, I don't know if the
I'm also going to take credit because I'm the reason why Quickshot has a dog. Just so you guys know. I'm the source of his happiness.
One of the things that's super disappointing right now is we came into this day and I wanted to be super serious. I wanted to set stakes where it's like the halfway point.
Pause, Quickshot.
Yes, but we have so many other stories to tell, and the first thing you say is, how's your dog?
Yeah.
I trained you better, young man.
The people want to know how your little cloud is doing.
I can see a lot of the fans here in Berlin nodding. And I've actually been told off that I haven't brought the dog to the studio a bit more. Why am I carrying on with this story?
Because, you know, dogs are great. They bring joy to everything.
They absolutely do.
They're so wonderful.
They absolutely do.
I really want a dog though, Trev, but I'm just not mature enough. That's the unfortunate reality of it.
Yeah, living with a dog is definitely game-changing.
Yeah, I live with Medic, and that's challenging enough. So
You're only saying that because he's not on broadcast today, but he will be here tomorrow. So we are obviously just waiting for the lobby to get up and running. And I am going to bring us back on track.
All right, bring us back on track.
And be a little bit more serious, because it was part of my weekly goals, and I don't want to fail there. But look forward now, because we've only got 3 more games, this one and 2 more, and then we finish the first round robin.
Yes.
Do you feel more confident thinking who the top 6 teams are and the 6 are that are going to make it to playoffs?
No, not at all.
When you look at the teams that are playing in the bottom half of the table.
All right, so I actually think, if I'm being frank, that the bottom half of our league, so like from 5 to 10, is actually one of the weakest Europe has had for a while. While our top side, I think, is super strong, I think that there have been like way more mistakes for many of our teams than we typically see. And I think a large part of that is because the top teams in our league actually understand the game at a much deeper level than Europe has actually ever done before.
Okay.
And
well, look, hold this thought, because I want you to tell me who your top 5 are, so I know which 5 you're throwing under the bus. Before you do, we're going to head over to Laure, who's standing by as G2's coach, and see what Grabbz has to say.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Grabbz, for joining me. Give me some information about the draft. We saw more Akali lately. Why is that so?
I mean, it's like always, when ship gets nerfed, people think it's bad, and then they play it, and it's actually usable. And this game again, the same 3 bands as last week, Kiana, Morde, and Yasuo, and Caps really wants to play Assassins, so Akali is the next best choice. All
right, now facing exceL. They won their first game last week, so how are you against them today? Pretty confident, I guess. Yeah, as always. I think we have the approach right, how they want to play the game. And unless we run it down like we sometimes do in the early game, there should be like a pretty convincing win, I hope so. Well, we'll see that in a few minutes, hopefully. Did you see the Splice game today? Just a bit. Okay, so what do you think about the way they play? Because you'll be facing them tomorrow in Match of the Week. I only saw that Misfits won a fight, and then saw that Nash, and then Splice got Nash, so I'm not sure how good the game actually was against the new roster of Misfits. We respect them, but I guess tomorrow will show if they're actually like good and smart about the game, or just still slow. Because I still feel like they don't take every opportunity they can get. And against us, for example, that would hurt them. But we know they're good for sure, so it will be a good game. Well, and I mean, the players seem to respect them enough. Did you talk to them about this? No, not really. I mean, the high understandings, right? It would be like too cocky even for our standards, not respect them. I mean, we respect every team, obviously, just joking around. But we faced in week 1. Since then, they grew a lot. So, of course, we have to approach it differently than back then. Yeah, that's what I told Zossi, actually, when we had the interview. You smashed them in the first game. They grew so much since then. So do you think they'll be able to match you this time? We have to see. Again, I hope so. I wouldn't mind a good game. They seem better. I think they have good fundamentals. But then again, either they're too slow still, or they actually improved so much that it will be like a game where they punish us for our own mistakes. We'll see tomorrow, I guess. Well, that's a story for tomorrow. As you said, now back to you guys.
Thank you very much. Reminder, of course, G2 versus Splice match of the week tomorrow, game 5. Be there or be square. I think that's how it goes. I'm going to put you on the spot, because before we went to the Grabbz interview, you threw 5 out of 10 teams in Europe under the bus, calling them the weakest Europe has ever had. Yep. It's a bit hyperbolic, but it's kind of true.
Well, I think our top 5 right now are G2, Fnatic, Splice, Schalke, and Origin. Okay. Those are our top 5.
So that's then going to leave exceL, Rogue, Misfits. Why am I forgetting more teams? SK, thank you, and Vitality.
Yep. Okay,
interesting. So which one, if there can only be one, is going to make it into playoffs? The most likely?
Rogue, probably, based on recent
Interesting. Yeah. And is that just because you're buying into the Reddit hype that they're better than TSM?
Nah. No. It's because I think Rogue, like right now, I think understanding the game is a lot more important than just being good at it. And like you'll hear casters talk a lot right now about like pressure and how teams use pressure and like why pressure is really important. And it's because when you use pressure properly, it can allow you to snowball games. And it's like, it's really important in the current metagame to be able to control the flow of waves and control the map. And you have to know what, how to reset and return on the map. And like, the game is so complicated now that there's a really big discrepancy in knowledge. And I think like the biggest example was Splice versus Misfits today. So.
All right, Professor Sorius, whatever the name would be, or Lecturatorius. Just quickly give everybody a reminder and an update. Mikyx and exceL, they paused the game. They reported that the wrong runes and masteries were loaded up. It was verified by League officials, and we have remade the lobby. I can tell you now that we are just moments away from loading up back into the game. I want to thank everybody for bearing with us during this extended pause, and we will be getting G2 taking on exceL underway in just a moment or two.
And as a reminder, G2 naturally the heavy favorites in this matchup, but exceL have looked good in the early game against many of our teams. Over the last 2 weeks, weeks 3 and weeks 4, they've actually been able to find pretty significant early game gold advantages. And last week, they even converted it into a win against SK. Let's not forget, one of those early game advantages was against Fnatic as well.
All right, we are loading up. It's G2 versus exceL. If anybody is watching ProView at home, there's a little bit of a spicy message. Mikyx has reloaded the game. He still has Glacial Augment.
Yeah.
And Perkz is just like, wow, remaking for second tier mastery. Not worth. So let's see if it's going to work out. Just as a reminder, before we had the pause and before we had the remake, Vedius, you were mentioning that you felt G2 would have some bot push. Top should be about even.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Right, so I was just talking about coming into this game how pressure is really important. And so in the early game, I like to look at which lanes have priority, as we do have some exceL supporters here in the studio. We've actually had quite a few exceL supporters.
2 of them, I can see them. Good job, lads.
So let's look at who has priority and who has it where. So the thing about Sivir Lux is it has a lot of wave clear very early on. And because of how strong Lux is into Rakan, it naturally gives you a lot of advantages and pressure in the 2 versus 2. So you would expect G2 to have pressure in the bot lane, right? They even won't give a pull to Jankos to make sure that they get to the wave earlier so they can actually set up for this early push. In the mid lane, Mikyx versus Caps, it should go in favor of the Neeko early on because, well, Neeko has a range advantage over the Akali, so she's going to struggle a little bit. Meanwhile, in top lane, Karma has a lot of wave clear, so she can be very obnoxious and generate pressure. But the thing you always have to be careful of is kill threat with Jayce, because once he hits level 3, he can all-in you and set up for an easy gank alongside Caedral. So it's something that Wunder has to respect, but G2 should have pressure top and bot. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, exceL should have priority.
Okay, so let's look at the decision-making then and how they decide to play it out. Quick tidbit that my observers just informed me. Expect, drop down a ward. He managed to come back to lane. There's the replay of it. And swapped over to a sweeper. So, little cheeky play. We'll see if it actually ends up benefiting him or not. And I just want to quickly remind everybody before this game really gets rolling that exceL picked up their first victory of the Summer Split last week against SK Gaming. They managed to accrue a 1,200 gold lead at 15 minutes. They were in a major lead for 52% of the time, and they looked pretty good throughout the course of the game. I did get nervous towards the later stages because I had seen exceL getting advantages in the past and only throwing it. And now exceL got to be a little bit careful. That's a flash for the tether. The root lands into the knockup. Expect will flash away, puts the hammer down. Momentary blip and Expect survives.
Okay, so a lot of cool things just happened there, right? Wunder guaranteed that he was going to land the root because he was able to land it and then flash it and close the gap. So even if Expect's flash, we don't have time. There's another fight.
We absolutely do not. This is what I want to see. Caedral is looking for first blood into Jankos. The first blood king is that victim of going down. Flashes away from the shot block. He dashes away from Caedral. And you will not go down tonight, sweet prince. Expect and Caedral are not done yet. Expect steps forward. The hammer comes out. The cannon goes down. Jankos stays alive. 2 tower shots have already gone out as another root connects onto Expect. Caedral's not done yet. He's got no flash. flash though. He's looking for a target. Mikyx joining the fray too. Oh, there goes Jankos. He gets the knockup. Caedral is now in trouble as Wunder's gonna find the route. Mikyx's not gonna find the kill, and G2 outplay it.
That was so good. Oh, Valée!
Now all of a sudden, first blood's available for Mystiques or for Jeskla, but who will get it? It's secured by Perkz. It's traded by Mystiques, but now Perkz with that boomerang blade and those ricochets will be chasing down Rakan. He's going to be able to dash to safety. It's a 1-for-1 in the bot lane.
All right, so a lot of action just happened, but I wasn't quite expecting. But exceL, they're able to at least find a kill on the board. They nearly find that kill onto Jankos, but he plays that beautifully. So many small execution stuffs that was just so good from both sides. It was a real joy to watch. Love the flash that we saw from exceL in the lane as well, to be able to even get out of the gank in the first place. And I think we're going to go back to the very beginning of this Acer Predator replay, Alienware replay, my apologies. Meanwhile, we're going to see Jeskla and Mystiques setting up for this play down towards in the 2 versus 2. They just go for the all-in onto Mikyx and Perkz. Mikyx actually very squishy this early on. You can see how much time the Aftershock actually buys you and how much survivability that she has with the shield as well. So that allows Perkz to actually secure that kill. And unfortunately, we don't get to see any of the top lane plays where a lot of really cool stuff happens.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll be something that could be picked up by Mechanics. Thank you to Alienware for that replay. exceL did manage to get the counter kill. It was Mystiques that picked it up, though. Perkz has got himself that BF sword. And now there's the engage. Mystiques going in, now coming out. The boomerang blade from Perkz is doing so much damage. Mikyx's continuing to chase. Lucent Singularity will come out. Light Binding will not find a target, but look at Perkz. He flashes. One more auto picks up the kill, and the spell shield blocks Mystiques as well. Perkz 2-0. And already off to a flying start. Vedius, you said pressure bot was something. G2, they've got themselves an advantage.
Well, again, it was because they knew that their jungler was hanging around the bot side of the map, so they could guarantee a numbers advantage. And given that they had a summoner spell advantage as well, everything was in favor of G2 to make that play successful. And it was smart from Perkz not to flash earlier to find that kill onto Mystiques, because he then had value in it later. Now, Jeskla is going to be extremely far behind in the 2 versus 2. And it's going to hurt their lane so much more. So keep an eye on the minimap. Notice that Jankos is making his way down, and Jeskla and Mystiques actually just go for a very aggressive play. They try to force this all in, and G2 answer back beautifully. Jeskla does what he can to sidestep the dodge, but Perkz flashes in, goes to the answer, and they know they can chase this again because they know that Perkz is there.
I mean, BF sword versus double long sword, you're just not going to win those fights, and it didn't work out. So exceL, they are still staying relatively close, thanks to the fact they do have a kill and they are even on CS. One of the things that we have been talking about a fair amount is the exceL early games and how they have been looking competitive, but I wanted to put some numbers to it. And if you look at the early game comparison over the course of the games, now acknowledging they have a significant number of losses, they are sitting very low, minus 1,000 gold on average, not very high as far as the team kills are concerned. They haven't conceded the most deaths. As it stands, they are even at 7 minutes. And they need to be very, very careful to not let G2 run away with
Can we just appreciate that G2 on average gets 6.4 team kills at 15? Like, that's ridiculous, right? The fact that exceL find 2.8 and they're like 8th in the league, I felt like exceL were grouping up a lot, and obviously their first 2 weeks are going to hinder that a little bit, but G2 just demonstrating how even though they're considered to be an exceptionally strong mid-game team, they're no slouch in the early game.
No, they absolutely are not. And Vedius, I do have a quick stat for you. You know how I love my extremely important, extremely relevant and topical stats?
Oh, you were gone for a month.
I will get to that in a moment as Caps is going to bully away Mickey, but I'm going to finish it now. When we take a look at the total number of kills that teams secure in a weekend, so that's across their 2 games, only one team other than G2 has secured more than 40 kills, and that is Fnatic. The 3 other times it has happened, it was G2. They just kill everything all the time.
And they're looking for it now. They've got a wave stacked up. Akali's making their way down. They're going for the dive.
We get the replay. I want to explain how the pressure set this up. Light Binding won't find a target. Perkz will tank a turret shot or 2. Jankos is waiting for the opportunity. And that was so good. Demacian standing into Dragon Strike. It sets up the first kill into Jeskla. Now Mystiques and Caedral are under the tower, and Perkz goes to 105 HP. Caps isn't done yet, and he's got some execution to use perfectly if a target
around.
becomes available. Where is the 5-point strike? Get a target. Perkz spell shields up. The life binding from Mickey. That sets that one. And now Mickey's tanking the tower as Caps picks up the kill. Still has the ultimate, and the tower's the target next.
Beautifully executed dive from G2 Esports. That was, I'm going to say, close to textbook. They definitely stayed a little bit longer than they would have won, which allows Mickey to get a lot of plates. But outside of that, very well executed dive. And like, this was all in the making so much earlier on in the game, as Mickey now going for a bit of a fight against Caps.
Oh man, Caps even sidesteps the Pop Blossom. A lot of damage, chasing the flash forward. Perfect execution used, and Caps honestly makes that look easy.
Mickey saying that he wants to pick a fight with one of the best mid laners in the league, and Caps are saying, all right, I'll more than happily take that one. Finds the 1v1, walks away with a kill.
One of the best mid laners in the world on one of his signature champions. 2-0-1. Down in the bottom lane at 9 minutes, Essence Reaver completed for Perkz. 4-0-0, 13 CS advantage, and a 400 gold bounty already.
So we've got to go all the way back to the early laning phase when the initial trades happened, and G2 and exceL traded 1-for-1 kill in the bot lane. The moment those summoner spells were gone, G2 knew they could continue to apply pressure towards this bot lane. So exceL made a mistake of trying to re-engage the moment Perkz TP back to lane, but they set up a wave to crash onto the tower. They zoned Jeskla and Mystiques away from the wave, and then they allowed Caps to get pressure in mid to bring him down to make it difficult for Mickey to follow, who had no teleport. All of the steps have been built up off the fact that G2 recognized where they had their early lead, and they've snowballed off the back of it. Now they're 6-1 in kills, 10 minutes in, and it's just G2 playing very smartly with where they have their advantages.
And of course, they're also targeting sort of the pressure players on exceL.
Again, look at Caps. He's moving again. He's bringing his lead to the rest of his team because he gets priority over mid, and it allows Jankos to invade in the enemy jungle, and now they could even maybe set up for another dive, but the wave isn't quite big enough.
Not just yet. Perkz is pushing it in from the bottom lane, and just quickly put some numbers to it. Vedius, you talked about Jeskla in the pregame and how since Jeskla and Mystiques have come in, with and without him in the stats.
Yeah, so the thing about this duo is they're incredibly aggressive, and they love to try and fight. We've already seen that in this game, but many questions were asked around would he be an improvement for exceL, and notice how before Jeskla and after, there's been a clear difference in the team's early kills, especially down towards the bot lane, and it's been a really big advantage for exceL. One of the big criticisms that I had was, why would you want to replace one of your young rookies who's only been in the LEC for one split? And I feel like we're starting to see that when you pair him up with a more aggressive support like Mystiques, you can really utilize this player and find those early advantages. But unfortunately, sometimes that aggression can also bite you in the back.
Yeah, we saw that in terms of the trades. That 1-for-1 and the fact that Perkz got the kill, got the first blood bonus as well, comes back to lane with BF Sword, and honestly, it's kind of been... It feels like it's going the direction of G2 already. 12 minutes in, it's a 3,000 gold lead. Mickey's going to use that super soaker.
Did you say it feels like the game is going in the direction of G2?
I know. I didn't want to call it early already because look, Perkz is going to go down. That is a kill secured. It's Mystiques that picks it up, but Mickey and Jankos, they will reply. Mystiques will sidestep the light binding, but cannot get away from the Dragon Strike. And I just didn't want to be too morbid immediately. Expect right now, though, takes a big chunk of damage from Wunder. They're both level 9, and we've actually not seen them a lot. Because now Caedral is picking a fight with Caps or vice versa. Pop Blossom will come up. This will buy some time. Caps manages to get away just for now. exceC is in some trouble as he was stunned up very, very briefly. Caps takes him out with the help of Wunder. Now he's looking for another target. Teleport's being channeled. Here comes Perkz. Doesn't have an ultimate available to him, but the Boomerang Blade, as well as the damage, will secure yet another kill. G2, 10 kills already. Remember the stat we talked about. Only G2 and Fnatic have secured more than 40 kills in a weekend.
Caps is so good at this champion, it's actually unfair. Like, in a 1 versus 3 where he doesn't have pressure, in a fight that he should lose, and he's still going!
Unbelievable, continues to chase down. Is gonna dash forward, looking for Mystiques, and will find the kill, will get away! And it's Mickey that picks up another 12-2, a 5k gold lead. Rift Herald secured. exceC and Caedral are running for their lives. It's like the first victims in a horror movie being chased down and culled. Wunder will be teleporting back to the top lane, 1-0-4, and with the help of the Rift Herald will pick up this first tower.
And It's just unbelievable. G2 just transition one advantage into another and they just don't slow down. They know how much time they have. They know what they can do in this window and they execute upon it flawlessly. And like, I don't know if many other teams could do this because Caps was just so insane in that play.
Yeah, really nicely done. Expect will get taken down by Jankos. He's now 3-0-5. One more auto should just about do it. Jankos actually flashes for the style Golden Aegis. And, you know, we kind of set this game up talking about how G2 can use pressure to advance and pick up kills and play the game. And every time Perkz or Mikyx had an advantageous situation, Jankos or Caps were there. Caps is even pushing them away inside their own base.
The thing is, the bot lane plays that we saw were just like very smart, very intelligent from G2 because they could keep pressing their advantage and they knew how to use the pressure that they had in bot and mid in order to snowball through bot. That was smart, that was calculated, that was calm, and it was good.
Yeah.
What Caps just did, that's not in any rule book, and that's the X factor that G2 ultimately have that allows them to outplay. Bear in mind, like, he's in a 1 versus 3 here. He finds, he's gonna avoid this with his E. He's then gonna dodge a bunch of skill shots from exceL. He's gonna get the shield from Wunder, then find that kill onto exceL, and you think he's done at this point, but he's not. He then looks to rejoin the fight, given that Perkz has just arrived. He continues to sidestep these skill shots, and again, even on this HP, he's like, I'm still fine. My ultimate is on cooldown.
Yep.
My flash isn't available, but you know what?
He's got a shroud. He knew he had it.
And he's like, he gets the heal from Mikyx as well, which definitely helps out a lot, but flawless execution. They're continuing to snowball this game. 16-2 is the kills right now. Just masterclass performance from G2.
It really, really is. And the thing that is insanely impressive to me is G2 Esports have had this style of dominance and gameplay the majority of the 2019 season. There are very, very few times over the course of every single game they've played where it's been very close, where it's been very even, and now Perkz is trying to get dove, and it's just not going to work out. Oh! The final spark almost catches 3. Jeskla goes down. It's a double dunk for Mikyx as he manages to catch them. 19 kills, halfway to that 40 mark already. And again, it's praise to this team that continues to be creative, continues to be combative in their play style, and successful at both the individual outplays as well as the map decision making.
Yep, they're a really good team. And the thing is, it's now at a point where I can't praise them for their map movements anymore because they have such overwhelming calls that even if they mess up, they're just so strong that they can just turn things around in their favor. So they get to do whatever they want in the map right now. I really hope that doesn't like overshadow the fact that they played the early game extremely well. And mad props to Caps. This guy is insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Showing up today, and as exceL are trying to find their way back. I mean, look, it's 12,000 gold lead. It is a matter of time until G2 close out the Nexus. Every single member of that squad has got a bounty on their heads. And you're not really going to get a whole lot about exceL from this game. It was always going to be a very difficult match. And they'll most likely be looking towards the second round robin. And there's the stats. 15 kills at 15 minutes. It's the most of summer 2019.
Yikes, that's scary.
It is very scary indeed.
Whew. Anyway, let's have a look back at this play. So in this situation, they think that they can get a quick collapse onto Perkz, uses his ultimate very early on, and exceL, they overextend just a little bit, Mikyx one-shots Mystiques. Oh, wow. And then G2 just walk away with kills. So yeah, that's what Hammer Gold League can do.
I don't know if anybody's seen the German YouTube advert for League of Legends where I'm trying to remember which champion's been chased down mid lane, but there's like an Urgot and a Sion. They all line up and Lux kills them all with the final spark. Mikyx literally just recreated that advert right now live in pro play, so nicely done.
Bear in mind, he's level 10 and 3 members of exceL are still level 9.
Unbelievable. exceL's only level 11. There's 5 towers down. We're getting towards 20 minutes on the clock. G2 really, they can just do what they want. Keep your eyes on Caps. If an opportunity to insta-give somebody comes up, you know he's going to take it. Whew. Oh, life binding, final spark. And that's just, it's like shooting
so much
fish in a barrel.
He has an Athenes, that's it.
All right, Mystiques is waiting. in the backside, looking for a quickness, is gonna manage to find a couple of charms, but really they're just simply too far behind. That is a 1-for-1 trade thus far, but it's not gonna be enough to dissuade the push. Caps is now chasing onto 3. Dodges all of the feathers as the inhibitor turret will go down, and the inhibitor will follow. The question I have, do G2 continue pushing?
I don't think they can. The death timers are still very low. There's only 4 of them. They have a single caster minion. I think they have to disengage in this situation. I think it would be a little too greedy to try and force more kills. But it is also G2, and when they have this kind of advantage, they do like to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And the last time I saw them having about this much fun was in the finals against Origin in spring. The reason I had that really weird segue, the highest kills secured in Europe at 15 minutes is 15. It's been done twice. G2 hold both records, once against Origin in the finals, and now once against exceL here in the Summer Split. There's a couple of teleports thrown down as Wunder jumped into the top lane, and now Caps is jumping into the mid. This could be set up for the final push.
So, one of the big things that we like to talk about here in Europe is how G2 were able to triple their lead between like 15 and 20.
Yep.
And I feel like they won a game last week where they didn't do it, and now they feel like they need to make up for that as they look to end the game.
They absolutely do. And just a reminder that this G2 will be playing against Splice tomorrow in Game 5. Both teams showcased their style of League of Legends. It was controlled and calculated for Splice, and it is bloodthirsty and driven for G2 Esports. Perkz versus Kobe tomorrow, Game 5. Right now, G2 Esports are looking for a couple more kills to pad the stats. Caps is flying in, Wunder's getting in on the action. Caedral and Jeskla are the last 2 remaining. Every time this happens, G2 look to dive the fountain. It's a double kill for Caps as the double Nexus towers are now falling. G2 might have their serious faces on as they turn their attention to the Nexus, and in less than 21 minutes, they take down exceL.
This just showcases that if you make one mistake versus G2 Esports, they are very quick to punish it. And like this whole game can all be brought back to that 2 versus 2 in the bot lane, where Jeskla and Mystiques traded 1-for-1 against Perkz and Mikyx. And simply due to the fact that all the summoner spells were burnt on the side of exceL's duo, they had a plan in motion, and that was, we're going to set up a slow push bot, we're going to stack a wave, and we're going to look to dive because they have no summoners. The dive came out, they start snowballing, and then you have that phenomenal outplay from Caps up towards the top side, which is really just the final nail in the coffin.
Unbelievable. G2 Esports steamroll their way through exceL Esports. It is the fastest win of the Summer Split. G2 a lot of fun for actually quick stats. I need to get my head in the game, get more graphics on board with this one.
Yeah, you certainly do.
For next time.
But like, you can see that after the loss to Fnatic, G2 were definitely frustrated with that level of play, and they know they can perform better.
Yep.
And after Fnatic's performance last week, where we saw them honestly have their worst performance of the split up against Splice, you'd have to imagine that G2 are looking at this team and saying, we're tired of people calling this team the best in Europe, we want to be the best.
And also, they finished the round robin with an 8-1 record. G2 plays Splice tomorrow. Fnatic are playing with MagiFelix today against a pretty informed Rogue.
Yep.
If MagiFelix and Nemesis don't pull it out, G2 Esports could be sitting atop of the table if Fnatic don't pick up that win. It is a complicated situation to look at, but it does set us up for that second round robin in a very excited manner. exceL Esports, on the other hand, they go 1-8. It is still fairly close down at the bottom of the table. A number of teams, 2 wins for Misfits, 3 wins for Vitality, currently 3 for SK. It is very, very close. Just before we move on, I want to take a look at some of the highlights. Now, what my teleprompter says is from the G2's carries. How am I meant to know which players we're looking at? Because all 5 of them.
It's not Wunder. Mr. Support player up in the top lane. I'm curious as to how they'll decide who gets player of the game in this game. Because
I sincerely hope a Wunder play makes it in.
This was, in my opinion, the deciding factor of the game. Because this re-engage coming out from the bot lane of exceL was also not the best decision. You also saw the value there of Lux up against Rakan and how you can just very easily land those light bindings. But this like started the snowball. You can already see Jankos was kind of pathing his way down. He was looking for a potential gang anyway. But then they set up the slow push and they look to set up that dive, which really is where the snowball kind of comes into its own.
Yeah, I just think individually outclassed today. G2
Yeah,
across
I mean,
the
exceL
board.
can't really feel bad about this.
Right.
Just like, I'm really sorry, but G2's just better than you.
Yep, absolutely the case. And
this is
huge
so
kudos to
ridiculous.
Caps. This was beautiful. I mean, he dodged so many pot blossoms over the course of the game and just playing with absolute confidence. Claps definitely loaded onto the Rift today. And there goes Wunder. Wunder made it into the clip, Vedius.
He did. I mean, Wunder wasn't useless. He shielded, he helped, he was there. Yeah, so the scoreboard that you see,
Disregards
that's not what happened.
that graphic.
The damage, on the other hand, that one I think you can trust a little bit more. That was
correct load up. I wonder if
okay.
we actually do have key player of the game. We'll have to wait to see how that goes. But it's nearly impossible to pick because in a game like that, absolutely everybody has done their part.
I mean, like, it's really tough because, like, that was a team effort, but like, if you want to say like who's the highlight player, then Caps definitely had the most highlight.
Well, listen, seeing as he's not on the list, and you need to make up for the small faux pas. You can read this one.
Ooh, key player of the game. You can vote at LEC Esports on Twitter, and your options are Jankos, Perkz, and Mikyx. So you're not allowed to choose Caps, and I think that's actually a great decision because, to be honest, the game was won before he made his highlight reel, and it was all thanks to the bot lane. So Jankos is very smart pathing, Perkz' execution and pressure setup in the bot lane, or Mikyx just honestly fantabulous Lux performance. They're all great options. Not today, Caps. You're not allowed.
Today we need 2 grayscale images of Vedius with quotes, redonkulous and fantabulous. Coming up next, Fnatic without Reckless take on an in-form Rogue. We'll also get some insight into the change from Youngbuck. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a moment.
And I think we're going to go back to the very beginning of this Acer Predator replay, Alienware replay. My apologies.
Target becomes available. Where is the 5-point strike? Get a target. Perkz spell shields up. The life binding from Mickey. That sets that one. And now Mickey's tanking the tower as Caps picks up the kill.
Oh no, I wanted it so hard.
Caps is so good at this champion, it's actually unfair. Like, in a 1 versus 3 where he doesn't have pressure, in a fight that he should lose, and he's still going!
Unbelievable. Continues to chase down. Is going to dash forward, looking for Mystiques, and will find the kill. Will get away.
Oh.
Every time this happens, G2 look to dive the fountain. It's a double kill for Caps as the double Nexus towers are now falling. G2 might have their serious faces on as they turn their attention to the Nexus. And in less than 21 minutes, they take down exceL.